So let's talk more about setting. In the last episode, we talked about how My Little Pony characters don't really fit too well in an event-driven game. But that doesn't mean that you can't fit the My Little Pony thing into the setting. See, one parallel that My Little Pony has with Final Fantasy is that they both have a lot of tiny little towns out in the middle of nowhere. In Final Fantasy, it's a limitation of the cartridge size. They could only make the city so big, or else they wouldn't be able to fit the whole game into the cartridge. And in My Little Pony, it's because your brain is really only happy when it has to interact with about 100 people or so the tiny little towns create a better utopian society for your romanticism. See, but both games have a bit of romanticism because they're boiled down to express certain viewpoints and themes. In Final Fantasy, they don't really touch much on anything about what government does, aside from go to war. In both settings, there's really no civil infrastructure. I mean, the Empire takes over and like what, do you raise taxes? Do you lower them? Do you exploit the natural resources? Are you building schools? There's no schools anywhere. What the heck is your purpose, government? And see, this is actually really essential to romanticism, is that government basically never does anything. Basically, society is like this free-flying machine that just kinda serves its own purpose. And none of it collapses because everyone in society is too frickin' stupid to take advantage of the loopholes. See, so what you could do is you could probably repurpose the game to focus on maybe having Gestal be a pony that figured out that he can kind of abuse the honor system. Then, you know, everyone else is still just kinda like not super intelligent horses, and they're just like, oh, I don't know, he seems really nice. He's obviously not evil like Sombra, he's not a dark cloud of evil. Cause after all, when the Nazis rose to power, they did it with a lot of rigging, cheating, and violence. But Emperor Gestal just appears to be an emperor, maybe he was born into the power. By all accounts, it just seems like Gestal is making progress by lying and cheating, and no one seems terribly acquainted with the concept of dishonesty. Let's take the bubonic plague, for example, which was probably caused by early biological warfare. Now, suppose you go to battle with My Little Pony's Canterlot, and you start chucking infected dead bodies over their walls. As 2/3 of their population dies from disease, I get the feeling they'd be about as shocked as Doma was when they got their water poisoned. Ponies may be able to understand blatant self-proclaimed evil, but they don't really have brains equipped to understand hardcore realistic evil. But you know what? We don't really even have to explore violent evil. I kinda doubt that either society would be able to withstand as much as Walmart. And that's the thing about romanticism, is that it always forgets to put smiling tigers into the equation. That's why all it takes is one to hilariously derail everything. So there is definitely some potential there to explore and commentate on both settings and society in general by combining those mediums. You wouldn't even need to really rely on having characters from the show. But anyway, let's get back to our game.
Something is happening!
Oh, Frig, a thing is happening?
Yes, a thing is happening, guys!
Guys, calm down. I think it might just be exposition.
Oh, Frig, I'm not ready for exposition!
Our brains are not properly warmed!
How could we have exposition? What do we know about this place, even?
The screen is changing!
Guys.
Oh my god, what is happening?
Guys.
Holy crap, there's ponies now.
Guys, the game is like 90% exposition.
But this is an expositional ambush. We were just minding our own business, yes, wandering around the cave, and now there is story elements. An Esper attack!
Espers? No, wait, they're all dead. Oh, and now we have a fade out to black. Was that a flashback?
Yeah, it's kind of unclear, isn't it? Because they go to the flashback in real time, and then they fade out to black, still in real time, and this is, yeah, definitely a flashback.
Wait, so how do we know this stuff happened in the past? I'm so confused. Are we seeing images of the past, or are we just guessing?
No, we cannot be seeing past phantoms, yes, because this is in a room we have not been to.
Then how are we acquiring this information?
Maybe an Esper or something in the castle is directly beaming a telepathic knowledge into our brains.
Okay, that's a theory. It would be nice if the game would explicitly tell us that they can do that.
No, I remember. This happened with Twilight once, yes? We showed her father, yes. And then Twilight could remember things that happened before she was born.
Oh yeah, that did happen.
So I noticed that this Odin Esper guy kind of rides a horse.
Yeah, given that the dominant species is horses, is that maybe creepy, do you think?
Well, you know what's creepy about it? It's that horse doesn't look like the normal ponies. Imagine, like, this guy riding a man, but a man with a weirdly elongated face.
Yeah.
I know, right? And you know that this creature is designed to do nothing but kill.
Gosh. I can just imagine, like, working with him and just being weirded out all day.
I think you would get used to him.
But how long would that take? It's like a horned man riding a man with a long face, and they're both the same creature?
And they can force you to learn world history by telepathically projecting it onto your brain.
How did any ponies become comfortable living with these creatures?
That's why they are the slave species for war!
Oh, hang on, Luna's telling us that it's an ancient legend, and, apparently not a flashback, I guess.
Okay. I'm lost again. I don't understand what they're doing. And looks like the clipping is still screwed up.
Man, this underground castle is just a mess, I guess.
Wait, how do we get an underground castle? Beneath the ocean, even.
It's a magical castle full of magical things.
That is not an excuse. Who set up the magic to make the castle live down here?
I don't know, maybe a half-mermaid sea witch ran into the place and said, oh, hey, this looks really nice, and then she cleared out all the water so that, you know, other mermaids couldn't live there.
So you think that maybe like a mermaid sea witch...
A half-mermaid.
Okay, half a mermaid.
Yeah.
A half-mermaid sea witch cleared out all the water and made this place discoverable by ponies again, just out of spite for other mermaids?
Yeah, I don't see why that wouldn't be realistic.
Well, I don't know. I mean, do we have evidence to suspect a half-mermaid sea witch?
You do not need evidence to suspect a half-mermaid sea witch.
Yeah, man, half-mermaid sea witches account for like half of all traffic accidents in Atlantis.
Really, half?
Yes, I heard this too.
What kind of traffic accidents do they have in Atlantis?
Mainly sea witch-based ones.
I don't know, I just don't want to... This sounds really racially charged.
It's not racially charged. I mean, think about it. You ever hear anyone say anything good about sea witches?
I never hear anyone say anything about sea witches.
That's because they're awful and nobody likes to talk about them.
Dude, I'm sure we can come up with some other theories that doesn't involve blaming sea witches.
I'm telling you, this is Occam's razor.
It's not Occam's razor. Occam's razor means that you make the fewest number of assumptions.
Not making any real assumptions, really.
You're assuming that all sea witches are terrible.
But it's a known fact, though. Sea witches are fat and they steal your voice.
Man, you know what's gonna happen now? I'm gonna get like 1 million emails from all my sea witch subscribers, and then they're gonna unsubscribe.
Well, then maybe they shouldn't have been so fat and prone to traffic accidents.
You guys suck. You are the most, like, racist, stupid co-hosts ever.
Dude, there's not really any such thing as a half-mermaid sea witch.
Well, then how come you guys are so racist against them?
What? There is such a thing as mermaid sea witches?
Oh, seriously? You believe in them? I was just making it up.
Oh, so you were just spreading lies to perpetuate the racism.
Not intentionally. I didn't realize that people really believed in mermaid sea witches.
Oh my god.
What? Look, I just pulled it completely out of my ass. I had no idea that there was really such a thing.
I think you owe a very large apology to all my sea witch viewers.
Well, okay, I'm sorry. I don't think that sea witches really cause traffic accidents.
What else are you sorry for?
Sorry for assuming that sea witches don't exist.
Yes, you feel guilty for sea witches.
Wait a minute. You guys don't believe in sea witches, do you?
No, I turned the table on you.
Aw, you guys are dicks.
So, here we have one of the most unintuitive puzzles in the entire game. If you stand on that one spot, that one square, and you push the button, then it opens up a secret passage. Underneath the secret passage is one of the 8 dragons. As far as I'm aware, there is no hint. No one tells you that this is a thing that you can do. When I was young, I spent the entire game playing multiple playthroughs, never realizing that that was there. I thought that there just was no 8th dragon. I thought it was a glitch. I thought they counted too many dragons or set the integer too high, and then when you killed all the dragons, you just didn't get anything. It wasn't until I was a fully grown adult with access to online walkthroughs that I was finally able to look up, where the heck is that 8th dragon supposed to be?
They do it on purpose to make you buy the walkthrough, yes.
Since it was back when walkthroughs were a thing you really had to buy, that's probably true. I remember they did that in Yoshi's Island, too.
Yes, they say buy the official walkthroughs if you are having troubles.
In Yoshi's Island, there were 2 red coins that you could not get because they were off-screen. You had to have the guide for someone to tell you explicitly that they were there.
I once got a game called Ephemeral Fantasia for the PS2. It was kind of like a Final Fantasy version of Groundhog Day, where you had to relive the same week over and over again. I tried to play the whole game with a walkthrough, and I still could not get through it, because if you missed even one time-sensitive objective throughout the game, it was over. You would have just 1 week, where one tiny little easy-to-miss thing would change, and if you didn't do something, if you didn't do the right thing at the right time, you could not try again. The game wouldn't tell you that you'd lost, it would just let you repeat the same week over and over again, as if you still had a chance.
Dude, that sounds like an awesome concept, even if it was really hard to execute. Did you ever beat it?
No, the other problem with that game is that it absolutely choked to death on loading screens. While it was a great concept in theory, during development it got completely destroyed. Originally the game was supposed to be for Sega, but then things got juggled around and they wound up on the PS2 and a ton of content had to be cut and then it wasn't really optimized for the system.
Man, console wars have brought down a ton of good stuff.
Yeah man, but what you gonna do? That's just how it goes. I mean, that game had a lot of other problems, but console wars,
So this boss is not so bad, except for a move he keeps doing called Rippler. It's actually a really glitchy move in the original game. I don't know if it's been fixed for this hack. In Final Fantasy VI, there was only like a couple monsters that had it, and they were just sort of humdrum monsters that you didn't necessarily run into. The problem was that this spell could transfer or destroy hidden status ailments. For example, Fluttershy's dog is a hidden status ailment that the game keeps track of secretly. When she gets hit with Rippler, her status is erased and she loses the dog forever. Surprisingly though, you could also transfer the dog to someone else in the party, or you could trade the dance status, or the rage status, or the morph status. Basically, there's a lot of ways that the Rippler spell can screw up the game, and we're killed by this boss, so it doesn't matter.
These dragons are suck.
Oh hey, look who's here. It's Trixie, but stone.
Yeah, they reused that sprite. This entire area is just a little bit weird and clumsy.
She sparkles with malice. A tear from the stone. She cries. She needs a shoulder to cry on for eternity. Yes.
Oh, crap, I suck with emotional situations. Are we supposed to feel bad for them, or...?
No, don't feel bad for them. They're a creepy, weird bestiality couple.
Yes, visit disdain upon their brows.
But I thought the game established that it was okay to love espers, because they're still, like, people.
No, they're so creepy and they turn into whales and stuff.
Yeah, but they can still love humans all the same.
Actually, now that I think, that is really weird. You have to think they're all like whales and dragons and different things. Do they love each other?
Oh. I don't know. Maybe that's why it made so much sense for, like, when a horse walks into the Esper world. They're just like, I don't know, I'll sleep with this.
When your girlfriend is literally a demon whale with horns, anything is acceptable.
It must be really pure, but really awkward. Like, they just get to know each other based on personality, and then one of them awkwardly asks the other one, "Are you a boy? 'Cause I'm a girl."
I don't know, I'm sure some of them are, like, obviously male or female. We had those fairies.
But if they change the whole body, how do you know they don't change the gender sometimes, too? You might have to rely completely on self-reporting, and there's all kinds of gossip.
Man, sounds like being an Esper involves a lot of drama.
I have no idea, because every Esper we run into kills itself.
Sounds like a dramatic reaction to me.
Yeah, and then there was also the drama where Twilight's mom hooked up with an Esper, and then the drama where this Esper hooked up with the Queen. So far, the only thing we're really shown about Espers is that they like to kill themselves, they get entangled in a lot of forbidden love, and they like to murder the heck out of everyone except for the people who deserve it.
When you put it that way, they sound a lot like Greek gods.
Yeah, but the Greek gods were terrible, though.
Sure, but they were also heroic.
I don't think they were. I can't think of any stories where they did anything besides abusing their powers.
Well, sometimes they helped out people that were heroic.
They helped out the main characters of the stories, who were not always heroic, but were sometimes made heroic through the special god powers.
Isn't that exactly what's happening in this game, though? I mean, haven't we been helped out by these Espers, inexplicably?
We are Greek heroes. Let us now get sexy with our mothers. Yes.
Oh man, you know what that means? That means that probably Apple Bloom is related to Trixie somehow.
Or we're gonna have a really heartfelt scene where they reunite.
Yeah, but no, it won't be heartfelt because they're gonna find out they're related only after they have kids.
I don't think it's gonna work that way.
Maybe not during the game proper, but afterward, it's gonna be in the subtext.
I don't think that even if they wanted to, that they would do that.
Do not ask me if I want to explore again. I have already explored. Keep moving, guys. You know, it is always important to be aware of subtext. Sometimes hidden deep within is glorious secrets. Yes.
Like what?
Such as that cornflakes caused fear of masturbation.
Really? Where did you hear that from?
The History Channel.
What subtext on the History Channel taught you that?
Well, it was not really subtext, yes. It was more of a History Channel.
Okay, so you watched an episode about Henry Kellogg.
Yes, and it revealed that cornflakes were the culprit.
Well, it wasn't cornflakes exactly.
No, the cornflakes caused mind control.
Oh, gotcha. See, I thought you were talking about, like, an actual known conspiracy, because sometimes those happen, and later on everyone can agree that, yeah, it totally happened. I mean, after all, America is still suffering the effects of Henry Kellogg's insanity.
Good old cereal, dude.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it still goes on today. It's all really mundane. I mean, like, Rupert Murdoch wiretapping people, that sort of thing.
Who's Rupert Murdoch? Isn't he a Spider-Man villain?
No, he's just a rich guy. And I feel like, with rich people, like, they're not really malicious necessarily, it's just that, everyone agrees with them because being a yes man is how you stay next to those people. And then there's no one there to keep them in check and let them know when their ideas are completely harmful and stupid. That's why everyone in America likes to shower every day, because Henry Kellogg spent a whole bunch of his resources making sure that everyone believed that they needed to shower.
Oh my god! Is that why when I was a kid I always had to take baths every day? Man, my parents used to tell me bunk about germs.
Well, don't get me wrong. I mean, showering every day isn't bad, really.
It sucked anyway. Way to go, rich people. You ruined my life.
Well, if you feel like bathing is the worst thing they ever did to you, I guess that you can count yourself lucky.
Tell us more of this Rupert Murdoch conspiracy. Yes.
Well, there's nothing else to tell, really, because they only discovered it in 2011, and by the time they fully unravel everything that's going on, it'll no longer be a hot-button social issue. That's what's really boring about real conspiracies.
You are useless.
Oh, what can I say? They don't even know for sure that Rupert Murdoch was necessarily involved, but what he's saying doesn't really match up. Because he's saying that none of the higher-ups were actually aware that the wiretapping was going on. Like all their underlings just decided to do this spontaneously.
Well, I think that's probably a weird and interesting note to end on as we wrap things up. Because next episode, we're invading the house of the richest character in Final Fantasy VI. Thanks for playing with us, everybody.
Wait, I want to balance out the perspective.
No, it's over.